we see young Hank McCoy as his parents find him grappled high up on the wall trying to get a hold of a balloon. Years later, Hank sees his school's football team being scolded when the coach yells for him to kick the football as an example. Reluctantly, he does and accidentally destroys the ball. The coach has him pass a new ball next, and is amazed at Hank's strength and puts him on the team. Hank leads the team to several victories when a trio of thieves arrive outside his current game. They gas the lady at the ticket counter and rob the place when the cops arrive, forcing them into the stadium. The cops are unable to shoot as the robbers use the crowd as shields. Nearby, Hank kicks the football and strikes the leading thief in the head. He then uses his own and a teammate's helmet to dispatch the rest of the thieves. The lead robber, desperate, pulls out a live grenade while Hank climbs the goal behind him. Leaping quickly, he strikes the man from behind, freeing the grenade from his hand. The police then catch up to him while an unknown figure watches the broadcast and decides to use young Hank for his own purposes. We see Hank as he is being watched by the mysterious man. The man who calls himself Conquistador sees Hank as a tool to use for world domination as he sees him win another game and observes the crowd's adoration for him. He then calls his soldiers to him and motivates them into action. Later that night, one of the soldiers spots Hank and tries to hit him. Jumping high, he avoids the truck and ricochets off the wall and manages to escape from the vehicle. Excited from what he saw, the Conquistador wants him captured right away. More goons appear and try to use a net to capture the teen, but he nimbly avoids being ensnared. Two more appear and grab his feet, but he manages to kick out and free himself. The Conquistador himself then appears and, pulling out a sword, presses a button which shoots electricity at Hank. Outside the McCoy home, Bobby watches and investigates when no one's home to find signs of a struggle and hurries to report to Xavier. Giving his report, Charles wants to investigate more thoroughly, while far away we see that the Conquistador has kidnapped Hank's parents to persuade him to join his forces. We see Hank just as he was attacked by the Conquistador and wondering why he's wanted by the madmen. The Conqueror takes Hank back to his base, an abandoned power station, where he begins to lay out his plan for the teenager to steal a device that will give him infinite electrical power for his equipment, but Hank refuses and tells him to get someone else. Expecting this, he shows the youngster that his parents have been kidnapped to force him to cooperate. Back at Xavier's, they wonder what happened to Hank when Charles gets a faint signal from him. Unfortunately, he can't pinpoint the teen and moves to try an electronic method that might work. Heading to Cerebro, it locates Hank and he informs the students that they need to get ready. Conquistador informs Hank that he wants him to steal an experimental nuclear reactor from a lab. Jumping the fence, the teen scales the wall and enters the building and finds what he's looking for. As he grabs it, he accidentally sets off an alarm, alerting the guards who threaten to shoot to kill. Jumping quickly, he knocks the guards down and dashes away as they begin to fire on him. Reaching the fence, a vehicle blocks him, but he merely jumps onto the roof of the car and catapults himself over. Giving the device to the Conquistador, he demands the return of his parents as agreed, but is betrayed and struck down. Hank lays stunned on the ground as the villain hooks up the generator to power his electronics. Angered at being deceived, Hank leaps to destroy the machine, but Conquistador's prepared and activates a charge in his shield that sends the teen flying. Drawing his sword, the villain unleashes bolts of electricity at Hank, who barely dodges. Leaping around, Hank moves to the exit when the door begins sliding closed and he is stuck inside. Conquistador moves to finish him off when the door is blown inward and the X-Men arrive and spot Hank on the floor. Guards pour into the room, forcing Iceman to create a wall to shield the team, and Hank joins them and they quickly dispose of the guards by working together. Freezing the last of the guards in place, Hank informs the others that the generator has started gathering energy from the rising sun. Conquistador begins messing with the machine, glad that it's being powered, when Xavier tells the X-Men not to fight and evacuate at once. At that moment, the electricity begins pouring into the villain, and the team get outside to see an explosion from the building, while Hank barely gets out with his parents. Back at McCoy's house, he's told that everyone's memories of the incident have been erased, and that he's now part of their team. We see young Warren Worthington as he finds a bird's nest and is being scolded by his parents for climbing too high into a tree. Just then, a bird quickly defends the nest, causing him to fall out, but he manages to catch a branch on the way down when it snaps, making him fall into the swimming pool underneath. Getting grounded, he complains of constantly being locked inside, while his parents wonder what to do with him and come up with the idea to send him to a private school. At the school, he quickly outdoes the other students to their displeasure when they notice and mock the size of his shoulder blades. A couple of days later, he wakes up and starts finding feathers in his bed, and checking the mirror, sees wings growing from his back and resolves to get out of the dorm and into his own room and is successful. Checking out the wings, he figures himself to be a freak when he begins to smell smoke. Rushing out, he sees a fire blocking the stairs and is forced to leave through the window and fly for the first time. Gathering some clothes he threw outside, he hears a cry for help and moves quick to aid the people still stuck inside. Grabbing a rope from the theater storeroom, he also dons a costume to hide his identity. Throwing the rope, the students are astonished to see him when he throws them the rope, allowing them to escape the burning building. Leaving and redressing in regular clothes, he checks on the boys who vow to find out who the flying figure was.